Hello, we're back with episode 15 of Somehow I Dad, the podcast that celebrates the joys, the challenges, and the hilarious moments of fatherhood. Join us as we dive into the world of dads, sharing stories, advice, and insights on navigating the wild journey of having kids. Whether you're a new dad, a seasoned dad, or curious about the dad life experience, this podcast is for you. So grab a cup of coffee or a nice glass of whiskey, sit back, get ready to laugh, learn, and connect with fellow dads on this adventure. Welcome to Somehow I Dad. I'm Garrett, your host, and joining me today from Seattle, TJ Weaver.
What's going on?
Also from Seattle, Alex Minton.
Really excited today.
All right. Okay. Gordo and Tyler are not able to make it tonight. They're taking some time to be with their family during this holiday season and got some sickness that they're taking care of. So it's just going to be us three tonight. We're super excited to dive into this. Before we get too far, I did get an email that I wanted to read to you guys. That came in from, I really wish Tyler was here.
Tony Giddens.
Sir Tony Giddens sent in an email, which if you're not familiar, you can send in an email to the show at somehowidad@gmail.com and just, I don't know, whatever you want to say to us, I guess. But Tony wrote in and said, "Dear dads, today we listened to your episode about self-care. Please consider this as my submitted invoice for a new radio in my car. Upon hearing the dads, including a culinary grad who just called out Alex right off the bat, berating Dad Tyler on his mom's red velvet cake as merely a chocolate cake with red food coloring, my wife took a screwdriver from the glove box and commenced to destroy the radio, all while screaming about guys who don't even know how to turn on an oven that are telling her son that he's basically eating a chocolate cake. The total for the radio is $410.62. Therapy for my wife and the trauma that Tyler had suffered is priceless. Sincerely, Tyler's dad in a now musicless car." I got this email a few days ago and I told Kate and was about crying reading this.
Please tell me it's a joke though, right?
Who knows? I would assume so, and I really hope so, but who knows? All that to say, Tony, you're still wrong. Like,
100%.
I don't know.
100% still wrong.
I don't know what to tell you. Red velvet cake is literally chocolate cake.
Yeah,
with red food coloring.
We're not eating the blood of our ancestors, right? So,
what is red velvet cake?
Yeah, Google that.
What would happen if you didn't put red food coloring in it? Would it come out like a chocolate cake?
Okay, I guess Google says red velvet cake is traditionally a red, crimson, or scarlet covered layered cake layered with some kind of icing. Traditional recipes do not use food coloring. But it gets the red color from a non-Dutch anthocyanin-rich cocoa.
The word
cacao?
Oh, cacao. That feels like chocolate.
That's 100%
interesting.
Chocolate.
The word you were trying to read was ermine. Ermine icing.
Ermine icing.
Nothing is worse than doing a Devo at church with like old Bible names in it, and you're like, I'm going to make a fool of myself in front of everybody.
Nothing is worse than that than preaching with old Bible names, and you're going to make a fool of yourself in front of everybody.
That's true.
While red velvet cake is technically a cacao cake,
chocolate.
There is a key difference between the standard chocolate cake and a red velvet cake. Unprocessed cocoa, which has a more intense flavor, a more intense chocolate flavor. So, Tony, I don't know.
So it's a chocolate cake. That's what you're saying.
It is a special chocolate cake, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, which was I think
feel like that's core concept.
I think it's kind of what we've been arguing all along.
It's like all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. You know,
I did, to be fair, I did get a little heated when we got into
You did get a little spicy.
I think it was justified.
My Italian hands came out. Like I got to put them back in their cage. It got aggressive. So I apologize for the radio, but I do not apologize for being right.
In my opinion, Tyler stuck his feet in and you were like, I can do this too. That's what I saw happen.
Let's dance.
And all this to say, I don't doubt that cake wasn't amazing.
Oh, 100%.
No,
I think that cake
is delicious.
And in fact, if you want to send us a cake, by all means, send us a cake.
I will eat it and be proved wrong happily.
Exactly.
Listen, but as of right now, it's just a red chocolate cake.
But it's still a chocolate cake.
Red velvet cake with white chocolate frosting. Delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. If you've got any other opinions and you're listening to this show and you want to let us know that we're wrong or you want to reinstate the fact that we're right, please, but by means. We are new to the show. We are live on Twitch, so we can be. You can drop it in the chat if you think that we're right or wrong, and if you agree with us, I might shout you out. If you disagree, I'm definitely not shouting you out on the show. So be careful. But yeah, no, it's definitely just chocolate cake.
Can I? It's just the three of us, and in your multitude of followers on Twitch. So, what is the most terrifying Bible verse to you?
Okay, before I meant to note on this before we get into this. So you mentioned saying Bible names wrong.
Yes.
One of the first times. So Cameron, for those of you listening, Cameron was on the show a few weeks ago. It's one of my best friends. He's the young adults pastor at my church. The first time I heard him preach,
Mephibosheth.
It had to have been like 2015, 2016. We were interns. We graduated high school together in 2015. So we were like fresh out of high school.
You graduated in 2015?
Yes, I'm young. You know
5
this.
years. 5 years younger than us.
5 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, that just hurt me.
So first time I heard him preaching, he was preaching to the youth group. I think he was probably middle schoolers. We have a service specifically for middle schoolers on Sunday morning. And he was preaching from the book of the Bible called Exodus. And he so confidently came out and said Exodius.
Oh.
And never corrected course. Never once realized what he was saying.
I feel like he touched his anime roots right there, like hard.
And he
That's
just
like an
kept saying
Aaron vibe.
He kept saying Exodius. To which afterwards he got done preaching, and I was like, dude, you kept calling Exodus Exodius. And he's like, yeah, that's what it's called. Homeboy did not know that it was actually called Exodus and thought it was legit called Exodius.
It sounds way cooler.
It sounds way cooler.
Yeah, petition to change. I think.
I mean, Exodus kind of has a meaning in the name, but it's still a lot cooler when it's Exodius.
Exodius sounds like a transformer.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm a big fan. I'm going to say that next time I do a church devo.
Sorry, that was my story.
Say it from the podium. Going for it.
Scariest Bible verse?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. I don't know.
Because I have one. And I heard it in a podcast when I was driving to Mount Vernon the other day. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to listen through this.
What was it?
It's the passage in Luke, I believe. Oh, no, sorry, Matthew 7, where it says, not everyone who calls out to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven.
That was going to be mine.
It says, on judgment day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, we prophesied in your name and cast out demons in your name. and performed many miracles in your name. But I will reply, I never knew you. Get away from me, you who break God's laws. And I'd always read that and been like, what did they do? And how do I not be that guy? You know? And what the guy at the dude on the podcast, I don't know who he was, and I couldn't find the podcast again because it was like one of those like part 1 to like 12 on TikTok, and I just scrolled through it while I was driving.
Yeah.
But he said the very attitude they have where they justified their way into heaven by what they did is the attitude. Like, were you acting because that is what God called you to do, or were you working for your salvation?
Yep.
That punched me in the face. And that was part of my Devo for Sunday. I was like, I know each and every one of you, but remember why we do what we do. We don't do it out of some obligation or some hope for a reward. It's because that is what we are called to do.
Yeah, that like when I was in Bible college, like that scripture is the antithesis, hard word, of the gospel. It's literally the exact opposite of grace. It's the exact opposite of what Jesus did. It's literally adding in works back into salvation, right? And
exactly.
It's what, that time in the church, like that was a common thing where it's like, oh, you have to be circumcised to be saved. Oh, you have to do all these things to be saved. Like you have to honor Jewish law on top of Jesus' sacrifice to be like the Hellenistic or not Hellenistic, but I'm
Orthodox.
It was the name of the group, and I'm definitely losing it, and I feel bad as someone who's a learned doctor. But
do you have MD at the end of your name?
I don't.
Then are you a doctor? Are you a doctor like a dentist is a doctor?
I'm a doctor like a chiropractor is a doctor. Okay. But no,
I take offense to that.
Yeah, it's okay. Are you a chiropractor? I don't care.
No, but I go pretty religiously.
I don't.
Oh.
You're on the subscription plan? Come back 97 times for us to readjust you.
I did have to go a lot at the beginning.
I just have very emotional feelings towards chiropractors. So like culinary chiropractors. Like that's where we're going right now.
I was about to say, are we going full red velvet again?
But that was the scripture I was going to call it as well, because it's just like, it's so easy for us to drop back into a nature of works because our culture is built on works. Our world is built on works. And so it's really easy for us to measure ourselves based upon what we do, what we can do, what we've done. And that's just not the gospel at all.
Yeah.
I apologize for hijacking that, Care Bear. I really
No,
do.
you're good. I think I was just looking up the verse that I was thinking of, which I think this probably goes to just to talk about how probably a poor job the church has done when talking about Jesus coming back. But I think the thing that I was like scarred as a kid, which I guess it just depends on what side of the fence you're on. And we're going to get super, super deep into theology. This is so left, taking a hard left turn of this podcast, but Gordo is going to wish he was here tonight.
It kind of was the intention.
It's going to
talk about cryptids too.
It just depends if you
believe. It depends if you believe pre-trib or post-trib. But the verse in Revelation 6, Revelation 6 verse 12, when the final seal is broken, and like I used to have nightmares of this as a kid. I remember being a kid, and like every time there was an altar call, I'd be down in the front like, Jesus, come into my heart. Like, was so terrified that I'd prayed the prayer so many times because I was terrified of like going to hell or having to live through the tribulation. So this verse, Revelation 6, verse 12, I watched as he ripped off the sixth seal, a bone-jarring earthquake, sun turned black as ink, moon all bloody, stars falling out of the sky like figs shaken from a tree in a high wind, sky snapped shut like a book, islands and mountains sliding this way and that. And then pandemonium, everyone and his dog running for cover, kings, princes, generals, rich and strong, along with every commoner, slave or free. They hid in the mountain caves and rocky dens, calling out to the mountains and rocks, refuge, hide us from the one seated on the throne in the wrath of the Lamb. The great day of the wrath has come. Who can stand it? Like, what? The mountains sliding?
Yeah.
The stars falling out of the sky like someone shook a branch? Like, dude, that's some scary shit, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that verse as a kid, like, scared the daylights out of me.
I will say in that realm, I almost envied the Catholics on their like confessionals, because it's like, I've done so many things bad today. What if it happens right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was, yeah. Just, yeah. We've all been there, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially if you were raised in the church.
Yeah. I feel like if you're raised in the church, you kind of get thrown into that conversation a little bit more versus if you like kind of join the church now, the church doesn't really talk about that kind of stuff.
I mean, my church has gone pretty hard into the end times a couple times. And I loved it. That's where I lean forward. I'm like, ooh.
This is getting
Speak
exciting.
to me.
Yeah. Spicy.
Like, I think our senior pastor did like, was it 18, 20 weeks straight on Revelation?
Holy cow.
Yeah. All fire. All so good.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I grew up like, so the first Bible study I was ever a part of, we studied two things, the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation and Nephilim.
I love the book of Daniel so much.
And so like,
that's my middle name.
Daniel?
Yeah.
GDB.
GDB.
Oh yeah.
I like.
I like. So it was literally like we talked about like the end times so often from like 11 till I was about 17 when I got kicked out of my church, 16, 17. And
Mintuck.
That's a story for a different time. But
and not for a stream.
Nope.
Definitely not for a stream. Although I'm happy to share why I got kicked out of the Assemblies of God on the stream.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, the AG, never mind. I was about to just send it. So I'll just keep that to myself. But what's hilarious, I'll just cap that part off with this. I'm a registered and ordained minister in the Assemblies of God. Long after I got kicked out of the church. I got registered and ordained at 25. I got kicked out at 16. So,
sometime.
Yeah. Let's talk about the topic for tonight, you know?
Yeah. So, for those of you listening, we are recording this episode on Monday, December 18th, which means it will come out on Christmas Day. So with that, what are your guys' plans for Christmas? And do you guys have any fun traditions that you're doing?
Transitions?
Transitions. Do you have any fun transitions you're doing?
Just a solid white.
You know, I feel like being involved in women's athletics, but
oh, don't say stuff like that.
Oh, golly.
You're welcome. Got that one out.
Oh boy.
What
are you guys doing for Christmas?
Christmas is a dumpster fire at my house.
Yeah.
Like in the best way. Like I love it and I hate it simultaneously. Yeah. Because we live so close to my in-laws and so close to my parents, we split Christmas Day. So mornings at my house, afternoon and evening gets split. in alternating years between my in-laws and my parents. So Christmas is a production for us, honestly. A large part of me just wants to stay at home with my kids, let them play, you know, let them have their toys, let them relax, stay in the comfy pants all day. But honestly, my wife and I have talked about it ad nauseum, honestly. And it is important that my kids spend time with their family. I do get that, or their extended family. But at the same time, I remember Christmas Day as a kid, and I loved, like, you open your toy. We do our story of Jesus in the morning. We'd open presents, and the rest of the day was to play with presents, you know, build the Lego sets. And so it is tough for me to give that up personally. But at the same time, I do love seeing my kids play with their cousins, stuff like that. So it's a weird in between. And then you add in church. This year, at least, Christmas isn't on a Sunday. Because that, I feel like, was last year. And that was a lot.
Sure was.
So this year we just have 3 services on Christmas Eve. And then I get to go home and probably sleep for a few hours. And then go over to my in-laws for Christmas Eve, because that is their family tradition. Is Christmas Eve is the comfy pants, hang out.
Yeah.
This year it's a white elephant gift, which is weird, which we've never done before. It means that Alex and I can't game the system, so we get each other and buy each other what we want.
Literally what we do every year.
Every year. Magically, I pick Alex. Alex picks me. I don't know how it happened. We've been going for like 6 years straight. Like, it's been a beautiful thing.
Yep.
It's been
out of like 25 of us, TJ and I just somehow get each other.
I don't know why we haven't given up and just been like, okay, so I'm buying what I want. You buy yourself. Treat yourself. Like, it's all we've almost.
It's fun. Like the value in gift giving is so much fun, right? Where it's like,
agreed.
Yes, you tell me what you want, but it's like. I'm, at least for me, right? I really do enjoy giving gifts.
100%.
I don't like receiving gifts. I hate the experience of opening in front of a bunch of people and all that kind of stuff. Like,
my love language is gifts or acts of service, like that combined. So to me, giving gifts is like, I love giving gifts. Like, Em has gotten probably like 7 gifts for Christmas. And guess what? She has opened 7 gifts, and it's not even, it's a week from Christmas, because as soon as it gets here, I'm like, I want you to have it. I thought about this. Take it. I want you to have it.
Yeah.
and like, so like for me, it's like, I try to hit every note of a gift where it's not just like I got this cool thing, but it like hits that emotional, that spiritual, whatever. Right. So,
like you're like
giving gifts is fun. But like traditions for us. So like we've added a few things in the last couple of years. So one, like Christmas tree hunting. So I absolutely hate tree farms. Like not on principle of like,
it's not all it's cracked up to be.
No, not on principle of like, I don't want like commercially farmed trees. No, I don't care about that at all. What I care about is I can't find a place to park. I have to drag my kids around through this show of a tree farm with all these people fighting over like 4 trees, and everybody's tagging them. Everybody's trying to take pictures
because he tripped while running with his hot chocolate.
Yeah. My oldest like gets himself hung up on a tree with a freaking saw. My youngest pooped his pants. Like, all these things happen. Right? So
the tree farm by us, they don't let you bring your own saw. Like, you have to use their provided saws. No, they're free. They're free saws.
Communism.
But the saws are the same saws for like 10 years, and they haven't been sharpened. So the last time we went to go cut down the tree, and it took us like 30 minutes. It's like me and my father-in-law just on either side going back and forth, like dripping in sweat, Like that was my first time going to cut down a tree, and it was awful.
Yeah. So we started like in Washington, we have a lot of public lands. So we like for the state, we can do tree permits. So it's like $10 and you can cut a tree in certain areas throughout the state. And so we've been doing like ugly tree shopping, which has been so much better. Like we go up into the middle of nowhere, we take the sleds, the kids are all geared up in their snow stuff. They get to run around in the woods and do their own thing. And then we cut down a Christmas tree. So like that was this year. And then we've, with Young Adults Ministry, we've done, this is the second year we did it, a Christmas party at our house. And man, is it a production. It gets rowdy there. It's super loud. We had like 40 people at our house, young adults, which is pretty intense for the size of my home. And so like, that's been a tradition that we're going to keep doing. And then, as TJ said, right. So like my parents, it's always been the be with your grandma, be with your mom, be with whatever on Christmas Eve. So this year we've got a couple of services and we're doing, so I'll be at all three of our services and then we're going over to my mom's after that. But Christmas Day is one thing that I feel like we've done a really good job. And it is helpful, like proximity wise. I'm about just shy of a half hour or a little over a half hour from my mom's house, where I live currently. So what we do on Christmas morning is the boys and us and soon to be Nora, we get to have our time. So it's Anna and I and the boys. We get to have our time. We get to have Christmas morning and make them breakfast. We do all that. And that's till about 10:30. And then my in-laws come over. My brother and sister-in-law come over. And we just made sure that everything was at our house. So the boys were on their own turf, doing their own things, get to have a good time. And they get to open presents from us, hang out, play with their toys for a few hours. And then my in-laws come over. They get to open some more presents, play with their toys for a few hours. And then later that like Christmas morning or Christmas Day afternoon, we're going over to my mom's and doing that whole deal. But it is kind of a production, but it's less of a production because like Christmas Day is very much so like centered around us. And we had a conversation with my in-laws where it was just like, hey, like you're grown and retired. I have a bunch of kids. Like you come to me. I'm not dragging my kids after they just had their Christmas morning. Okay, pack up, get dressed, all these things. Go over here.
Should I have that talk with my in-laws?
Well, it worked for me. I don't know how it's going to be received for you. But I know my in-laws are more amenable to change. So your in-laws, hence my parents, are less amenable to change. So, but that seemed to work out really well. So we have basically from when the kids get up in the morning to open their Christmas presents at 5:30 till, oh, dude, it's like they wake up early normally, but on Christmas morning, it's like we've been up all night. Anna and I building toys, getting everything ready, wrapping stuff, doing all that. And then it's like 5 a.m. These boys are cracking. And we last year we put up the baby gate at the top of the stairs and we told him, I was like, Dad is not getting out of his bed until 6:30. So you guys just got to wait upstairs. Your
kids also wake up at like 5:30 in the morning.
For sure. But that the big deal is like we have Christmas morning with our boys where it's just like us as a family. And then my in-laws and my brother and sister-in-law come to me. And they get to enjoy their Christmas morning with them as well. And so we get to have this semi-relaxed, like I cook for them. So this year we're doing like a prime rib and all that kind of stuff for lunch.
Come on.
But way better than most Christmas food.
Amen.
For sure. But like it's, the big deal for me is like, I want to make it as comfortable for them as possible, but it's focused around my boys, right? It's like, this is their Christmas. We've all had our Christmas experience as a kid, and now I'm having it as a parent. But for me, it's like all of our traditions are built around them. It's like we're on Wednesday night, we're going up to what's called Snowflake Lane in Washington, where it's like a big Christmas ordeal, right? They do a big old parade. They do fake snow. They do all that.
So you're not going to the Christmas concert?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Chris, like I told Anna today, I said I would rather take a bullet to the mouth than go to a Christmas concert.
Dear God!
Like I would.
It's actually going to be pretty dope. I'm not going to lie.
I'm sure it will be, but it's still Christmas music. Like you guys can play amazing music. It is still Christmas music. Like I just want to headbutt a nun.
I would pay to see you headbutt a nun. I'd pay some serious money for that.
Back into the topic. Sorry, we pivoted. Pivot was what I have had to accept is I did not grow up like my wife and her family with all family close by. So because I'm a military kid, it was always just me and my parents, my sister and me. Always. Yeah. We lived in Japan. We lived all over the country. So it's tough for me to see it from their point of view. Because I never grew up with any aunts, uncles, grandparents close to me at all. So it is tough for me to be objective because it was never the experience of me, which is why I would say I have been more inclined to defer to my wife because I know I'm not coming from a place where I grew up with that, so it's important to me. My wife did grow up with it. It is important to her. So it's one of those, like, I think it is better. It is not a fight worth having. Not that it would be a fight, but it's not one of those things that I feel like I am potentially qualified, so to speak, to speak either pro or con about it.
Yeah.
Because I would agree there's nothing better than seeing my kids hang out with their cousins. Like, I love that. I love it. If it could be an alternating year where Alex and Anna come up to our house and the boys and their daughter hang out with my boys and my two daughters, like one of those where it's just cousins, because I always want my kids to have a good relationship with their cousins, because those are like your friends that you should have for the rest of your life. Yeah. You know? But that's just
that took some adjusting for Kate and I when we first got married, because my family has always lived really close to me. So we see them all the time. We saw them all the time. Where Kate grew up, her family, half of her family lives in, not half, but her grandma lives in Arizona, and she's really close to her grandma. And then her uncle, who they're super close with, lives in Chicago. So we see her uncle a lot more than her grandma, but we see her grandma like maybe once a year. Like she'll either she'll fly in for something, or the family will go out and see her, but they don't see her very often. So Kate kind of grew up where, like, when family is in town, like, you are spending every waking moment, like, you're waking up early to go over there, you're staying late because you're just not seeing them as much as you see everybody else. And with my family, it was like we see each other all the time. Like, we don't really get together for Christmas until like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then we're done by 7 or 8 and call it a day. And we love each other, but we just don't, because we're around each other all the time, it's not like super important for us to spend the whole day together. So that definitely took some adjusting, because for every single holiday, I want to like rest and stay home and just take it slow and enjoy the time off work and just enjoy time with family and chill. But Kate's like, no, we've got to see this person. We got to go over here. We got to go do this. We got to go do that. We got to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's just so tiring for me. But so we kind of got to figure it out. And thankfully, now that we have Zeke, I kind of told Kate, like, hey, like, we need to slow down and like put our family first. Like,
yep.
And by our family, like me, you, and Zeke, like,
and whatever future Brocks are running around.
Yeah, not grandma and grandpa, like, not great grandma and grandpa, like, everyone else can wait. Like, we need to prioritize our family. So we're gonna spend some time Christmas morning. I think my parents are gonna actually come over in the morning, but we're not going over to their house. Like, we're like, if you want to hang out, like, you can come over to our house, and we're just gonna cook breakfast, make cinnamon rolls and some quiche, and And then a tradition that
Quiche?
Quiche?
It's a white people dish.
You've never had quiche?
I have. It is like the worst version of eggs.
You don't love quiche? Oh man, I love quiche.
Good buttery crust made with lard. Oh
yeah. However,
give me a breakfast burrito any day.
However, traditional quiche is served at room temperature, which I think is trash. Like it needs to be served. It needs to be served right out of the oven.
Yeah,
like not quiche smells weird to me.
Oh, man,
smells like a kitchen sink. It's just not good.
No, quiche is
but
good.
Maybe that's because room temperature quiche.
The worst version of eggs are poached eggs.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely
just like
not.
Cracking an egg into some water. Like
two things. One, this has become a food podcast. Two, poached eggs on a good eggs Benedict. Oh, God bless America. Like that is salvation on a breakfast.
Me
neither.
I don't
love Benedict sauce.
Me neither.
Oh no.
Kate Kate loves eggs Benedict. Like,
you don't love hollandaise? You don't love hollandaise at all? Oh,
like it's okay. Like when Kate gets it at restaurants, like I'll try it. I'll take a bite or two, but it's just not my favorite.
Okay, hold on.
Give me a breakfast burrito any day.
Last food thing I'm gonna say.
No, it's not.
This is probably not.
Chick-fil-A has a good breakfast burrito.
It's delicious.
The spicy
you know this is spicy. You must get spicy.
This is
with extra cheese.
This is a make or break for me, guys.
Okay.
This is a make or break for me. Like I'm just gonna sign off for the night. Biscuits and gravy. Like a true homemade biscuit.
Must be a sausage gravy, not a bacon gravy.
Okay.
I've never had bacon gravy, but sausage gravy all the way.
Okay.
But I love biscuits and gravy.
That was a close call. Like you were gonna like insult my religion.
And makes biscuits and gravy for the worship team like once a quarter, and it's like my favorite.
My mom used to make biscuits and gravy for the worship team, and we had to tell her to stop because we would eat so much of it. And it's such a thick breakfast that like we would always every time we'd see it, but guys, we have concrete for breakfast. Like you just eat it and it just sits.
It's true. And you lose all energy. The singers can't sing.
When you're at church at 5:30 in the morning and then you have biscuits and gravy and then you have 3 services, like dude, it doesn't matter what I eat. By that 3rd service, I need so much Red Bull to stay awake. Like I'm so tired.
So M normally makes like 30 plus breakfast burritos for the team.
I love breakfast burritos.
And they're just like bacon, tater tots, eggs, cheese.
We have like an egg casserole that someone makes for us like pretty much every weekend. And it's delish. And everybody goes for the middle. And scoops out of the middle and then leaves
the crispy edge.
Everybody leaves the edges that are crispy, and I just go around and smack the side of the pan and get all the crispy edges because that's where all that's where Flavortown is.
See,
baby.
Emily also makes her own homemade hot sauce, and that is one of the greatest things of all time.
Back to the topic.
I don't know how we got there, but we did,
dude. It's dangerous. It's really dangerous now that I know that you, Alex, that are so passionate about food. I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate about food, and I like. If you were to look at like my YouTube recommendations, it's just all food.
Yeah.
That's my wife's YouTube.
So my specialty like was soup. So that was my focus and specialty. So I don't remember what the actual technical term for a soup chef is, but that was my specialty. So go down the soup lane, we're in it. But back to the topic, I think one of the most important things with any tradition is that like the kids are not forgotten. And that's really the lens that we've looked at all of our traditions through, is like, regardless of holiday or whatever, is like our sons and soon to be, daughter and sons, are they the central focus, right? Is their experience the focus? Mm-hmm. If that's not the case, then that tradition is cut, right? Yeah. So we did kill a lot of traditions, and I got the hiccups. Sorry, guys.
You're good.
But it broke my mom's heart a little bit, where it's like because growing up, we didn't have a ton of like my mom's childhood no traditions. Like my childhood, tons of traditions, right?
Which was your parents compensating for their lack of
100%.
childhood traditions, both of them.
Yeah.
And also my family having zero traditions just because we have moved around so much. Like it was just, this is Christmas Day. Our tradition was literally, we read the Christmas story. After that, it's free game.
Yeah.
That was really my main tradition growing up. Was we always read the Christmas story from the Bible. First thing before we had breakfast, before we opened any presents, we just took some time to kind of recenter ourselves around Jesus and I know
a reason for the season.
Yeah, it's cheesy, but it's true. Like it's really easy to, especially when you're so heavily involved now in church and whatnot. Like you kind of get wrapped up in serving, and for TJ and I, you get wrapped up in serving and music and production, and then you've got presents and family on top of all of that, and trying to and cleaning the house, and like it's pretty easy to forget the reason why you're doing it. So we always made it a priority to read the Christmas story as a family together before we did anything else. And that's definitely something that we're going to continue to do with Ezekiel and
who?
As he baby Ed.
Thank you.
And as he gets older, letting him read the story, so that he gets to be immersed in that, and it's not just us reading to him. So
overall, I think that's really the most important part, right? Is like as a dad, right? You have your positive and your negative that you're trying to. The negative you're trying to cull, the positive you're trying to like continue on. What is focused around the kids and their experience, right? Both from a biblical perspective and from a, American Christmas tradition perspective. Like what are you going to cultivate and what are you going to kill? And so that with
That's really
Lincoln, like he's 7 and Uriah's 4 and Nora's going to be here in February. So her first Christmas will be next year. But,
February, holy cow!
I know it. We're here. Like Anna is super pregnant. She
my
is
32nd birthday. I really want Nora to be, because her due date is like my birthday, I believe.
February 22nd.
21st is my birthday.
I mean, it's a high possibility that she comes on the 21st or earlier. So,
dude, I'm so pumped for you.
Yeah, I'm not pumped. Like I'm excited to have a daughter, and I'm also terrified. But
it's humbling. It'll highlight how horribly you'll look back and be like, I was not a good guy to girls.
Right.
I mean, we can go back to that. Like, what are you raising your daughters to be? And you're raising them to see what a man should be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I was not the man I should have been for like 23 years of my life.
Do you have a giant white Stanley cup?
It's full of milk.
Whole milk.
Milk and Cheerios. Breast milk. Gains.
Dear God, no. Good grief.
Hey, it's a thing. It's a thing.
I know.
Really is. It's kind of a gross thing.
This is a gross thing.
On the family tradition side of things, it's like we've been really, and there's not really a good word for it, but very ruthless when it comes to our focus.
Intentional is the word.
Intentional is a better word. But really, everything we do is around their experience. We want them to experience the gospel. We want them to experience, worship, Christmas music. So like coming up in a few weeks, or not a few weeks, I guess Christmas is next week. So sometime this weekend, I guess, we do Christmas lights, right? So we get in the truck, they get in their jammies, they get hot chocolate. We roll the windows down, turn the heat all the way up, open the sunroof, and they just got free reign of the truck, and we just drive around the neighborhood.
Head out the sunroof.
Right. And we just drive around the neighborhood and look at Christmas lights and all that kind of stuff, right? But it's that whole experience is focused around them rather than this like fill in the blank candy making this or whatever, right? Where it's built really around us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I really want, I like that intentional focus of, is this for the kids? You know, if we're doing it for us or doing it for somebody else, I think you have lost. I mean, honestly,
I think it's really important to hang in the balance when you're juggling the needs and wants of in-laws and your parents and everyone else that's trying to fight for your attention. Is like, I understand that you have your wants and your desires for what you want Christmas to be, but like, I'm sorry, but that doesn't come first. Like it's my kids that come first.
Yeah. And I hate that I'm quoting him because I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but Mark Driscoll,
you chew the meat and spit out the bones,
right? Mark Driscoll had he talks really well around marriage, right? And the covering shift and all of that. Like, he has a really good explanation around that, but it's really like, as families and parents, right, we are all creating our own environment, our own covering, and that has shifted to us. Like, that mantle has shifted to us, and so it is no longer. And the holidays is a very poignant way to illustrate this because it's very hostile and a hot button topic for a lot of families, where it's like, oh, you're not going to go to, Christmas tree day. Oh, okay. Or you're not going to go to fill in the blank. But like, it really is like, we are doing our own thing, and it's upon the in-laws to adhere to that thing. And I think one of the pieces that's really important, though, is like, we don't just throw into that bucket I don't want to do this, so it's not going to get done. Right.
Yeah.
Where it's like that. And that's why I like framed it up earlier as like the lens of the kids. It's like, is this going to be a positive, memorable experience for them? Even though it takes a lot from me to make it happen. Right. Because Snowflake Lane in Bellevue, like, parking's going to be a train wreck. It's going to be a ton of people. It's going to be a long night. And I will have worked a full 10-hour day prior. Yes. But are the boys going to have that ultra memorable moment?
Yep.
Part of their Christmas? Yeah. Yes. So it's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen. I'm going to hold a 7-year-old on my shoulders and feel like my lower back's going to blow out. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Park at the Lincoln Square expansion. That's where you got to park.
Yeah.
That is your parking spot. Trust me, having gone to Bellevue enough times. Either Bank of America building or Lincoln Square expansion. Those are your two best parking spots. But I really like that intentionality of it. This is for the kids. We have created a new family unit. For this reason, a man will leave his mother and father. Like that. Like, it's not to be petty. It is not to be thrown around like, I'm not part of the family. I've created my own. It's these are my children. Their focus. They are the focus of what is going on.
Yeah.
Just wanted to give you guys a heads up. We will be taking New Year's Day off for recording as well. So we record every other week for the most part. And then on the following week is when the episodes come out. So we're recording this the 18th. So then our next natural recording day would be New Year's Day, but we're going to take that off. Just spend it with our family. And so our next episode won't come out until January 15th. So I want to make sure that we covered kind of Christmas and covered New Year's kind of all in one encompassing episode. So I know we've been going for a little bit here, but quickly, have you guys thought much about your goals for 2024 personally or for your family at all?
So goals is definitely something that's like front and center in my mind, right? It's like, I set goals for myself in December because I feel like anytime we wait until January, February, we've already lost a portion of the year, right?
Yeah.
And that comes from a business mindset. Is like, I turned in a bunch of stuff to present later this week for my year in 2024. So I'm actively thinking about 2024 in late November, early December. right? Just overall from a business perspective, as well as from a life, family, ministry perspective. And one of the things that my church does in January is we do a 21-day fast. You know, we give a percentage of our time as a tithe to the Lord, and we do it at the beginning of the year. And so it really does coincide with a lot of things where I'm centering myself around a few specific things. And so for me, with just some transitions in my business and things like that, the Lord has given me a lot of time back where I've been very active as an individual, and I thrive in the extreme ends, right? So it's like bouncing off the rev limiter, like always busy, always whatever, right? And that, you know, based upon some podcasts and things that I listened to over the last couple of months, is like that really, like, busy is a drug. And so the influx of this available time, I haven't done anything with it yet. And I'm really waiting on the Lord to show me what that time is going to be consumed of. I know that a portion of that's going to be ministry, a portion of that's going to be education, and a portion of that's going to be my boys and my daughter, right? And so really looking at what consumes this available time, and what does potency with that time look like? Because there is ultimately a limited number of hours in a day. There's ultimately a limited number of time that I have. So how do I be the most potent in the categories that the Lord has really outlined for me, which is my family, my ministry, my education? How do I utilize that available time now best for them? So it's like a overarching goal, right? Is like really taking that new available time and adhering it appropriately and making the best experience for my wife, my sons, my daughter, my ministry, and my education. Because one of the things I was just asking the Lord the last couple of weeks, because this transition happened November 1st. So I was just asking the Lord, I was like, Lord, what do you want me to do with this time? Because I can easily fill this with stuff that's maybe advantageous for me in the moment, but it's not going to be advantageous for me long term. And he legitimately was like, you've been wanting to read this book for a while. Why haven't you? Right. And so, like, that education doesn't look like me going and getting my master's or whatever it is, right? It looks like me in the arenas that I'm in, honing those crafts and being better as a leader, being better as a father, being better as a son of God. And so my goals ultimately are very loose right now, which is not comfortable for me, because usually I am very, very dialed, and it's like, it's this, this is happening then, and this is what I'm doing, and this is going to happen in this quarter, and all those things. And the Lord has really, like, wrenched that back to, I think, ultimately test me and drive me to be better. But overall, it's looking at, like, where is this time applied, and how do I use it best? And I know, family, ministry, education are the core, but this fast that's coming up in January is, like, I've set aside that time, those 21 days, to really allow the Lord to show me what does it look like in those three categories.
Yeah, that's sweet.
For me, honestly, there's, like, the normal financial goals, because as cost of living has increased exponentially, we've had to be tighter and tighter on budget. But just, like, the basic financial goals, set aside more each month, waste a little less money here or there, but then also for me, family wise, I really want to intentionally get into, like, Em and I have the last, like, 6 months been very intentional about like, family dinner time. 'Cause we don't have we're all running crazy all the time. And we tend to eat a little later than probably, I don't know when your guys' dinner times are, but ours is closer to, like, 7-ish. Which normally we have like the kids are eating and Em and I sit on the couch or something like that. The kids have their time, but try to be intentional about time as a family, and then also like devotionals as a family. And I know, I know Alex, you do those fairly regularly, but also just trying to. I mean, when you have 4 kids, sicknesses linger for like 6 weeks because it slowly travels through each one, which therefore means we don't get the kids to church as often as we'd like to, because you don't put a sick kid in the nursery or in kids ministries or something like that. Yeah. So there's a lot, and I serve a lot. So therefore I'm at church serving, but Em has to be at home with the kids. Yeah. So then it's like this weird, like, my wife and kids are not in church half as much as we want to be, but it's not because we don't want to go to church or church isn't a priority, because of sickness. So one of the things we really want to do is start, or that's been on my heart, and it was one of those things, I don't know if this happens in your guys' marriages, but where something sits on my heart and I bring it up to Em and she's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about that too. I've really, that's been important to me too. I'm like, oh, cool. That means I'm not full of it. But just getting into devotions and Bible time together, so that I can try and instill in my kids that personal relationship, or give them that solid foundation to start with, so that they can then build on their own relationship starting young. But other than that, I mean, I had a really good year of work. Em had a really good year of work. So it's not more of those like, I want to be a better employee. No, I'm pretty freaking awesome as it is. But you know, just like overall, I haven't really, like, I've prayed about it some, but I don't have any like super like pressing, I want to do better this way or that way, or like failures on the year. You know what I mean? It's just like, I think I could do better in these areas with like dedicated focus and intentionality to these areas.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we've Kate and I started talking last week about kind of our goals for the year and what we want 2024 to look like. And for us, I think the big overarching thing for us was definitely to strap down on our finances and begin to really start putting away money towards savings, towards our retirement funds, towards a college fund for baby ed, and just making sure that we have all of that in order, so that we don't get caught later in life or regretting that. So it's a high priority for us to make sure that we're like contributing our max contributions every year and making sure that we're just setting ourselves up for the future as best as we can, which definitely makes it uncomfortable and sucks right now. Cause I've just, no one's ever taught me how to handle money. So I'm awful with it, and I just want to spend it as soon as I get it. So it's definitely something that we're working on in 2024. We also want to work on having a family worship time, a family devotional time. My coworker actually was the one that challenged me on this. He was like, it was a few months ago. He was like, we were just like in the car driving to a setup at work, and he was like, "Hey, what does your guys' like family worship time look like?" And I was like, "Family? What do you mean?" He's like, you know, like a time that you basically have church as a family, like just you guys, like not having somebody else lead you, like you leading. What does that look like? And I was like, to be honest, like we don't do that. I don't know, like, so it's, and it kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. Like I was like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like, why would you do that? But I've really just been wrestling with it and being like, no, like, wait, and even our conversations prior on the podcast, a few weeks ago, I remember us talking about like, we want to replicate Like, we don't want our kids, I think it was when Cameron was on, like, we don't want our kids to see us at church and have it be a different side of us that they haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Like, I want Ezekiel to see me
to know
worshiping
that is you all the time.
Yeah, I want to see him. I want him to see me worshiping in our living room before he sees me worship on a stage, or before he sees me worship in the audience or auditorium. Like, that's really important to me. And
I think that was when Cam was, because that's when we talked about like service prep time instead of shooing the kids out of the room. Like, if I'm practicing guitar for a service, get in here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I've really been wrestling with that. And I think that's something that's really important to me. And it's going to be really awkward to start, like, but I think it's definitely something that's worth pushing through the awkward, and worth kind of making those memories and those moments to pursue Jesus as a family, and not just something that we do on Sundays, but something that we do throughout the week. So that's been something that's important to me. And then I kind of wrote down I wrote down a list of things that I wrote down here. I just have a note in my phone that I have pinned so that I see it pretty frequently whenever I'm on my phone. And it's just my 2024 habits. So I just want to read those to you guys quick. For those of you listening, if you haven't spent some time praying or meditating or doing whatever you do to kind of just take some time and set it aside to just contemplate and think and process, definitely recommend that you do that. Set some time aside, either by yourself or with your wife or spouse, or and just kind of meditate on what you want out of next year. Don't let another year just pass you by where you're just going through the motions and kind of playing life on defense. Like, no, be on offense. Like, take control of your life and prioritize that. So here's my list. If any of this kind of inspires you, feel free to write it down and take it for yourself. But here's mine. I wrote to prioritize abiding with Jesus, to be intentional with my family, friends, and community, to deeply know and be known, to be outside more, to trust even when the whole path isn't clear, to daily trade my life for something bigger than me, to ruthlessly eliminate hurry, to consistently fan the flame of gratitude, to notice and cherish the little things, to prioritize kindness, to stand up for the overlooked and oppressed, to hit the pause button more consistently and intentionally, to see and savor the beauty in the common, ordinary places, to show grace toward failures, even my own, to forgive and repent more readily, tell those I love, I love you more consistently, to see all of life as a mission, to listen, to understand, not respond, to always keep getting up, and lastly, to regularly ask, what would Jesus do? So whenever you're getting around to listening to this episode, whether you're traveling for Christmas or you're in the gym or you're getting ready for work, take some time over the next few weeks to be intentional with your family. Be intentional with your kids, be intentional with your spouse, make memories, have fun together. What are you going to do to make your 2024 the best year yet? I think something to keep in mind is that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your routines. I'm going to say that again for those in the back. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your routines. Setting goals is great, and it's something that I'm definitely doing, but setting goals doesn't get you places. Changing your routines is how you get there. I know it's hard, I know it's uncomfortable, and I know it's awkward, but I believe in you. You got this. Thank you so much for tuning in to Somehow I Dad. We truly appreciate your support and the time you've taken to listen to us. Your encouragement and feedback mean the world to us. We hope that our discussions and stories have resonated with you and provide some valuable insights and inspiration. We're grateful to have you as a part of the community, and we look forward to bringing you more content that you'll enjoy. Thank you again for being a listener and for being a part of our journey as dads. Until next time.
I'm TJ.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Garrett. Remember that being good enough isn't the goal. The goal is progress over perfection. Let's all try to be a little bit better this week than we were last week. Let's all try to be a little bit better this year than we were last year. You got this. Take care. Brush your hair. Love you. Bye.
Bye.